As we have been discussing very carefully, that when Arjuna asked this question, so what could be the difference between this tyagi and a sannyasi? So that whichever will be comfortable, I can get into that mode. However, Lord Krishna clarified clearly, there is no difference between tyagi and sannyasi, tyaga and sannyasa. However, people do talk differently. So there were two versions that he quoted in verse number 2 and 3. Whereas verse number 4 onwards, so highlighted a look. It's not there are two types of tyaga and sannyasa, but indeed tyaga and sannyasa are one and same. Number 1. Number 2, that there are three types of tyaga, or you can say sannyasa, because both are one and same. The first one was called tamasic, second one was called rajasic, and third one was called sattvic. And interestingly, he highlighted that look, Sattvic sannyasi is indeed a karma yogi. So the one who is in a robe and other one is not in a robe, but the status of the mind both of them enjoy is equal. So there is no difference at all. So when he discusses this, then we saw this 10, 11 and 12 that we have discussed. This is called, this is the Mahima, glorification, or you can say phalam, the result of Sattvic sannyasi or karma yogi. So while discussing this, that we saw that how it happens, because please understand, especially when we look at this sannyasa as it was being highlighted, that people think sannyasi means does not have to do anything. In fact, once upon a time I was also thinking in my childhood, okay? So if somehow, if I can become, I did not ever think of sannyasi, I thought of, becoming a mahant in a mutt, okay? So that was my thinking. So in the Orissa way, so mahant means the head of in a mutt, nothing to do. Eat nicely, do some tilakam, be seated. Nothing like that lifestyle, okay? Fantastic life. And once in a while, throw some flowers or fruits, okay? That's the job. And of course, when there is occasions, you should go around with your big stomach, okay? So stomach should be big. Without big stomach, it will not look nice, okay? However, but remember, sannyasa does not mean that you are free from action. So sannyasa means the one who is free from sense of ownership in spite of having everything. If there is some type of sense of ownership comes in, gets in, sorry, you are not a sannyasi. So which is being indicated through karma yoga. That's why overnight one can never become a sannyasi. So many people think, oh, okay, I want to be a sannyasi, I give up everything. It will not work. That's why it is a process. In fact, the person has to take this karma yoga seriously. Karma yoga as a commitment. Then after karma yoga, sannyasa becomes, output. It is exactly like the leaf already dried in a tree. Already matured. I won't say dried, matured. That's a better word. So when a leaf is matured in a tree, what happens? Without any effort, it just gets dropped. That getting dropped is actually sannyasa. But however, each one has got their own way of understanding. That's why in the previous verse he highlighted it very carefully. Nahi dehavruta shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshataha. So the one who is identified with this body, for that person it is impossible to renounce all the actions. You cannot renounce actions completely. One has to understand very carefully. So when I am not in a position to renounce the actions completely, which is impossible for me, because the body is there, at least I identify while having hunger, while taking food, if not any other time. That's why what is to be done? So he says, look, yaha tu karma phala tyagi, the one who renounces the result of action, not the action. Because always action presupposes the result in mind. Without thinking of result, without thinking of consequences, unless you are a mad person, okay? That's another point altogether. Unless you are intoxicated, that also happens. Generally, any action that I take, always I think of consequences, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously. Whereas here he says, look, yah karma phala tyagi, the one who renounces, the one who dissociates, that's better word instead of renouncing, the one who dissociates one's own self from the result of action. So when I dissociate myself from the result of action, I don't have anxiety. So dissociating myself from the result of not only actions, also dissociating myself from the anxiety that is mainly related to result of action. So when I am a person who is free from anxieties, then what happens? I am called a tyagi. That's why in verse number 2, in chapter number 2, 3, including 9th chapter, all these things have been talked in details. That's why the principle of karma that we saw, karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, in 2nd chapter, ma karma phala heturbuhu ma te sangasthu karmani iti. So the definition of karma and karma phala was being talked in verse number 2. I hope you remember. If not, please check it. And of course, later on in verse number 3 also was being highlighted that Mai Sarvani Karmani Sannyasa Adhvachetasah Nirasi Nirmamo Bhutva Idhvasva Vigata Jwaraha. So that means you should not have fever. Jwara means it's fever, okay? That anxiety is that internal fever. So being free from Vigata Jwaraha. So now what happens? May you fight, may you face, may you do what is to be done. So when you start doing what is to be done, then you see the difference in your life. That's why here is being also highlighted. That's why what you need to do. Now you need to look at everything as a prasada. Then you can say, Swamiji, all these things fantastic. If I look at prasadam, so now I should also look at your class as a prasadam. Okay? So when I say look at class as a prasadam, you know better. We have a beautiful jokes on prasadam, okay? So like somebody did an interview in Indian temple, okay? Why do you go to a temple? Especially South Indian temple, okay? And nowadays also other part of in South India, one state, I don't want to get in too much. Do you know, maximum people in South Indian temple, they say, evening I go because that Pulaidora will be there because there will be some type of rice, so that some prasadam will be there, so that my walking is done, meeting is done, also I see God and I get my snacks. I am not telling you jokes. It's a good crowd we get during that time, okay, in temples. However, let us not get into. So the prasada means only where to gain. Please understand, that is not a prasada. That is a food. For them it is food, is not prasada. Prasada means what? Accepting gracefully whatever comes on your way, not according to your convenient. A child when goes to a temple does not like banana, and that banana comes to the child, what happens? Cries, or quietly, this is a cultural practice, accept from the priest, because there you cannot say anything, hidingly will hand over to the mother. And poor mother also will keep it. What else to do? Because knows the child, that time the mother should give a slap, hey, this is for you, you have to accept it. No, because mother doesn't want to create a issue, a scene. Hidingly, mother will accept. Mother is really no thinking, no maturity. Of course, doesn't allow the child to have maturity. Can you see this point? At least teach the child there. Hey, hold on. Even if you don't eat, hold on. This is your prasada. Doesn't matter. You may not eat completely. At least eat a small portion. Then after that, I will help you. No. Hidingly, they will start transaction. And later on, same child when does everything, so mother has no patience or father has no patience to face the situation. However, this is called wrong interpretation or wrong way looking at prasadam. So that's why he says, look, if you do not follow this, means if you don't want to be a karma yogi, so the adverse consequences, be ready for it. Because what is this adverse, you can say, because the moment you are not a karma yogi, means there is no Ishwararpana buddhi. Please understand, this is the most important thing. There is nothing else. Always if you are not karma yogi, then you become say ordinary karmi. You are a karmi. So, like no, they say political party worker, organization worker. Whereas when religious, we don't say karmi. In a organized religious organization, we don't say karmi, okay? So there comes a seva, service. There is a big difference. The word itself changes. Workers and I am serving. There is a big difference. However, here we say that this karma becomes seva. Or you can say karmi becomes karma yogi because of two things. One is internal input. So what is the input? Ishwararpana buddhi. So my buddhi is everything dedicated to my thinking process, is dedicated to Ishwaraha. So Ishwara is in front of me. So when Ishwararpana buddhi is there as input, so what is output? So output would be called prasada buddhi, prasada bhavana. So when I look at everything is Ishwaraha, anything that I do only for the sake of Ishwaraha, automatically whatever comes from Ishwaraha, that is called prasada. So that means whether good, whether bad, that anything comes, I look at them as prasada. So then what happens? The person will not be in a position to compromise with values. Because it will be very difficult if you observe this point. Anytime when a person tries to compromise with the values or tries to follow this karma, so not because of anything, because of this karmi attitude, I am a karta, And I can control the karma phala. I can mold myself. I can take care of myself. I can do everything by myself. You understand what is this myself, myself, me. Remember always this joke that goat also before getting sacrificed does me, okay? So in your life also when you do me, don't worry. Very sooner or later you are getting also sacrificed. Don't take it seriously, okay? However, so that means when I am a karmi and keeping the karma phala in my mind, I want to regulate, I want to control anything and everything. Automatically, I don't mind to justify anything and everything, even if whether it's karma or akarma. Means karma that is to be done, akarma that which is not supposed to be done. Because my intelligence is so smart, will get into to justify anything and everything. And that too, if I am exposed little bit to Vedanta, don't worry, from Vyavaharika standpoint, I'll jump to Paramarthika so that nobody can question me. That's more dangerous, okay? After all, I am akarta. After all, I am avhokta. Means I am not a karta. So akarta, akarma, what is big difference? I am avhokta, I say, however. That's why here he says, look, you have to understand, if you do not become a karma yogi, you have got three problems. That is what the verse highlights. Anishtam, ishtam, mishram, cha trividham karmana phalam. So may you know that any karma that you do has a threefold result of action. So that's why trividham phalam karmanaha iti. So karmana means of action, that any action one does. The phalam, it has got result threefold, trividham iti. So what are they? One is called anishtam. So anishtam means that which is not agreeable to oneself or to the karmi. And sometimes ishtam. So ishtam means that which is agreeable, because always you want to put stamp. Swamiji, I don't agree. Some people say, Swamiji, I don't agree with you. Thank you. Swamiji, this is very good. It is agreeable to me. To us. They that time say, not agreeable to me. It is agreeable to us, I say. What is that us? You understand? It's a very sophisticated way of putting, like, in a meeting, in a company, they never use me or I. Sophisticated people, they will say, we, us. What does that mean, we? What does that mean, us? Means I, stupid, in the form of we or us. You understand? Very nicely, sugar-coated way, they write it, because that is how they are supposed to write. However, so anishtam, ishtam. So some results are disagreeable, some results are agreeable. Not enough. The dangerous part is mishram. So mishram means mixture of agreeable, disagreeable. There the percentage varies. And innumerable possibilities can happen. This is the problem. At least if it is anishtam or ishtam, no problem. If it is anishtam, disagreeable, I can manage to avoid. I can run away. Now if it is ishtam, also I can run behind, okay? Either I run away or I run behind. Sorry. Both way is good. But the problem is, most of the time it is mishram. So the mixture. So what is the percentage of anishtam and what is the percentage of ishtam, that I don't know. Sometimes it appears to be ishtam, means agreeable. I run behind it. Suddenly I discover it is anishtam. What happens? It is disagreeable. Then what happens to me? I cannot run back. I cannot take back seat. Then I started grumbling. So then I want to take a break. This is how people take a break, okay? I want to take a break. It's wrong. Again, you are making a mistake. Psychological is right, no doubt it. Whenever you are tired, you should take a break. You know, another thing called sabbatical leave. I don't know where from this word comes, sabbatical leave, okay? What is this sabbatical leave? First time I remember, I cannot forget this sabbatical leave. First time when I heard in an institution, sabbatical leave, the professor told, I have got 1 year sabbatical leave. I am paid without doing anything. I said, wow, that's interesting. Now, every 3-4 years they give us. I said, for what? Because we are supposed to do research. And I cannot forget that professor, he is a good fellow. So 11 months he is moving wherever he wants, goes to every ashram and everything. Last 1 month he will sit down to write something and deposit. Very nice. So anyway, he was very helpful those days, okay? So I should respect him for that. However, coming back to the point, that this sabbatical leave in this sense means I went, but suddenly I discover that it is not agreeable. Instead of managing myself, instead of gathering the courage to face, either I withdraw or I become aside. Okay, nothing wrong in it. Still, we allow it. You can. But do you prepare, when you withdraw, do you prepare yourself to face or you divert? Can you see this point? If you are preparing yourself again to face, it's acceptable. But generally, you take a back seat for what? To take a diversion. And you will discover those people only keep taking diversion after diversion. And those people in professional life, in personal life, they keep taking diversions after diversions. Things are not going to work in life either. That's why here he says, look, what we do here, that here nicely he highlights, whereas with reference to bhavati atyaginam pretya. So that means, it says beautifully, atyaginam, to the renouncer. Especially if you observe them, that it definitely happens to everybody, but whereas sannyasinam pretya tu na kvachit. So that means, it's very clear, pretya means after death. Tu na kvachit, but never, this never happens to sannyasinam, to the renouncer. So the one who has renounced, the renunciates, they do not face these consequences. Why they do not face the consequences, whereas why this karmi faces this? Because, please understand, in the verse, in 14th chapter we have seen also, urdham gacchanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaganya gunavrittistaha adho gacchanti tamasaha. So this gati means after death, what happens? So the sattva guna, those who have predominantly sattva guna, they will go up different upper lokas. Whereas madhye tishtanti rajasa, this rajasic people in between, means they keep fluctuating in this manusya yoni insert. And sometimes from manusya yoni also some other yoni, don't worry. Whereas jaganya gunavrittistaha, mainly tamasaha adho gacchanti iti, they go to lower locus, lower field of experience. Now, while discussing this thing, we have to also understand what? Here, Atyaginam, not only Sannyasinam, also those who are not Karma Yoginam, ityarthaha. So that means those who are Atyaginam or Karma Yoginam, means not Karma Yogi. So Tyaginam is Sannyasinam, both. You can look at that way. So that's why here he says what? This Janma Marana. Because when you die, then only you are born. So what is death? Death is nothing but death of your existing ego helplessly. Because what is again ego? We have discussed all these things. What is ahankara? Ahankara is nothing. Ahankara needs a substratum where it will get associated. Is it clear? And the substratum is stronger. My ahankara is more stronger. If I have a beautiful body, my substratum is beautiful, my ego is beautiful, ahankara is beautiful. Can you see? If my substratum is a beautiful mind, of course, don't look at my ego, okay? Mamma mia. And if my ahankara is, my substratum is good money, good wealth, good this, good that, then related to that, my ego ahankara. So my ahankara is always related to the substratum. In 15th chapter, please remember, okay, we have discussed in details how this ahankara comes to the forefront and plays the role. So that's why here it says that during death time, now the substratum dissolves. So when the substratum dissolves, now poor ahankara is helpless. How the lamp goes up slowly. So also my ahankara towards last, some people, boom, gone. Now this ahankara continues. It's an amazing thing. Don't worry, ahankara will never go. Because it will become your, what? Sukshma Sarira. Then Sukshma Sarira will get into Karana Sarira. Tattvabodha. This Sukshma Sarira and Karana Sarira put together will travel, will have next body. Whereas for a Tyaginam, for a Sannyasinam, so Sattva Sannyasi ityartha, okay? What happens? So there is no Marana Bhayam. So when there is no Marana Bhayam, means fear of death, definitely there is no birth. If there is Marana Bhayam, then there is a Maranam for you. If there is a fear of death, there is death. And if you die, don't worry, you will be born. That is guaranteed. Whoever dies will be born, including God. That's why in culturally, we never say a sadhu died. Even though intellectually they say, oh, he passed away, oh, that sadhu passed away. No, we never say that. Culturally, we never say the sadhu passed away. We give benefit of doubt, okay? So always we say that, Mahaprayana, there are words we use. Samadhi, Mahasamadhi. So that we make sure that, look, we don't associate ourselves wrongly, so that we get inspired. Hey, if that person could do it, why can't we do it? That's why to understand, already I have crossed my time today as I started a little late. So that means here in this verse, he concludes that sannyasa is nothing but karma yoga. So Karma Yoga is nothing but doing what is to be done, duty for me, for the society. That's why when this happens, now what is to be done? Now let me not think of sannyasa, at least let me be a karma yogi and let it get matured. Or let it be matured, automatically things will happen. More of it, we'll see. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.